Hi, I'm EW Sentinel, and I'm way too close to the camera, and this is 15-Minute Meals. Today's meal is not so much of a meal as it is an appetizer. Appetizers quite often can be kind of fatty, and what we have for you today is a really low-fat appetizer. It's a hummus with sriracha sauce and garlic. It's going to be really good, tons of flavor, very low in fat. Your friends will love it, your family will love it. Hey, I love it. What normally isn't in hummus is sauteed onions. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw a little curveball into our hummus. We're going to saute up some onions. We're going to put it in the food processor. Let's get our onions chopped up. First we're going to cut this bad boy in half. Woo! This guy's huge. Look at this guy. It's ginormous. He's huge. Cut off its ends. We just need a rough chop. We don't need a real fine chop because we're going to put this in the food processor and then it'll make it itty bitty. What I typically do when I chop up my onions, I will do a rough chop and then put them in the refrigerator as a rough chop. And then when I'm cooking with my onions from the refrigerator, I will chop it up however fine I want, because some recipes I want a decent size softened onion. Other times I want a really small onion, like when I saute onions and I put it in my eggs, my scrambled eggs, which I had this morning. So I got a half onion. It's good enough to get started. Okay, we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. Not a lot, just a little bit. Alright, just to get the onions started. Get the onions in here. Now, when I saute onions, I always like to add salt and pepper. That's my thing. Sauteed onions seem to go better with salt and pepper. It's just how they work. I like to put in sauteed onions with salt and pepper. Give these guys a stir. And we'll saute them and let them soften up. While my onions are sauteing, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare what we're actually going to dip them in. Normally if you use like taco chips or something, they infuse fat in them. Any kind of store-bought, pre-prepared kind of thing, they'll infuse fat into them. We don't want that. What we're going to do today, we're going to use pita bread. We're going to cut it in triangles and then we'll break it apart because it's two-layered. It's used for pockets. And then we're going to bake it in the oven and it'll make it crisp it up a little bit. We won't have it in the oven for very long. We're just going to crisp it up a little bit. So let's get a couple of these guys cut up. Triangles. It's like a workout. Won't need to go to the gym today. Now we have a pita bread, and we're just going to open these guys up, and we're going to put them on a tray, and then we're going to put them in the oven, and it'll be good. I'll put them in the oven at 350. I'll watch it. I'm going to estimate, but you know, probably about 5 to 10 minutes on 350. It depends. Ovens will vary, pita bread will vary, but basically they're already cooked. We just want to crisp them up and give them a nice texture. Alright, we're going to preheat the oven to about 350. One more. There you go. And our onions are looking good here. The onions are looking nice. Everybody loves sauteed onions, yes. Notice they're nice big pieces because in the food processor it's going to look really good. Okay, I got my little pita breads here. I got them cut up. I'm going to split them in half. I actually want to put the open side up because the open side, it's real good textured, and we're going to spray that side and we're going to sprinkle with salt for some extra flavor. The bottom side is smoother and doesn't really work because it's a little too smooth. We want this textured side to cradle in the salt really nice. Normally you would use a pan that's bigger than this, and I would if I was having company and making a whole bunch of these for company, but this is what I have to work with, so sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. They're getting there. Getting real close. I may be taking these off real soon. Okay, so now we're gonna add the salt, and I don't want to do it too high because I haven't sprayed it yet. But see, that texture will hold the salt in, and then to keep it from in, what I'm going to do is a really light spray olive oil, really light. Okay, we don't want a whole lot of fat. Done. Looks like my onions are done. The best way to tell if an onion is done, a sauteed onion, you taste it. Oh yeah, nice and soft. It's good. It's good. That'll work. Now, traditional hummus usually calls for chickpeas, which is garbanzo beans. Problem with that is if you buy them by the can, it's 4 grams fat per can, 1 gram per serving, and there's 4 servings in a can. What I'm going to use is pinto beans. You're probably saying, you're crazy. Pinto, that's not... Pinto beans have 0 fat, and the consistency and taste is very similar to chickpeas, cooked chickpeas or garbanzo beans. Garbanzo beans are usually the cooked version of chickpeas. But we're going to be using pinto beans, and because of all the flavorings that we're putting in it, we're going to put fresh crushed garlic, we're going to put in sriracha sauce, cilantro, and other things. You won't be able to tell the difference between chickpeas and pinto beans. So that's why we're using it. Okay, we're up to 350. Time to put these guys in the oven. Into the oven you go. All right, you get all nice and crispy. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we want to control the liquid that goes into the pinto beans. So what we're going to do is we're going to strain it. And I already have these open. And we're going to strain the pinto beans. There will be a little bit of the thicker liquid in there, but most of the thinner liquid is out. And that's essentially what you want. Okay, can number 2. Okay, the pinto beans are strained. Okay, it's time to put everything together. Time for everything to go into the pot. We have our food processor here. Food processor is, you can do this in a blender. You can make hummus in a blender, but it's a lot more difficult because you got to do it with the spoon and kind of have to, you know, play with it and get it down on the blades because it's taller than it is wide. And so it doesn't sit down on the blades very well, especially if you make it thicker. I like mine a little thinner. Okay, so first thing goes in is the garbanzo beans. Or I'm sorry, the pinto beans. First thing goes in is the pinto beans. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the onions in. In you go, in you go. Everybody loves sauteed onions. Next thing, we're going to add a little salt. Nothing wrong with a little salt. Don't let those salt haters convince you otherwise. If you have a good diet and good regular exercise, you don't have to worry about hypertension unless it's hereditary. Now comes for the best part. Crushed garlic. I like to use pre-crushed. I could crush it myself, but I'm not taking the time. If you use pre-crushed garlic, 1 teaspoon equals about one clove. Yeah, it's a good sized teaspoon is about 1 clove of garlic. So right, that's about a half a teaspoon. That's a little under half. And if you watched my other 2 episodes, you'll know that I use rib rub quite heavily. Now, this isn't a protein. Well, the beans are protein, but I mean it's not a meat protein, so I don't really need to go crazy with the rib rub. But the rib rub has a nice, sweet, savory combination that I like to use, so I'm going to add a little bit of that in there. Just a little. Now, cilantro! Hoo-ah! Love cilantro. Dried cilantro, really mild. If you use fresh, then it's going to be a little intense. But if you use mild cilantro, it allows you to add really nice green color to whatever you're making. Okay, that'll work. Sriracha! I love sriracha. Sriracha sauce, there are a lot of different hot sauces and a lot of different peppers you can use, but I like Sriracha because it not only has heat, but it actually has flavor. A lot of times hot sauces will be just hot, or if you chop up jalapenos. Jalapenos have a lot of heat, but they don't have a lot of flavor. Sriracha sauce has a lot of flavor in addition to being very, very hot. If you cook with it, be careful though. It's really hot. I like a little snap, crackle, and pop to my hummus, and that will definitely do it. Okay, I'm going to give this an initial blend here. Now I'm going to add the liquid. Typically when you buy hummus off the shelf, and the reason it's really high in fat, other than the garbanzo beans, is the olive oil. They go crazy with the olive oil. It's like one part beans to 2 part olive oil practically. It's an exaggeration, but that's practically it. We're gonna check our chips. Check our chips real quick. Oh yeah, see, they're crispy. That's actually perfect. They don't need to be black or brown, they need to be a little crispy, just a little crispy. I like it a little soft on the inside and a little crispy on the outside. As I was saying, store-bought uses way too much olive oil, so what we're going to do, we're going to use a little bit of olive oil, but I'm also going to supplement that with chicken stock. Chicken broth in this case, can use either. Stock is from the bones, broth is from the meat. So I'm going to use a combination of these two to give the liquidy effect and to make it a really nice consistency. Not too much of this. I'm going to use this. Fat-free, low sodium for you salt haters. Put this guy on the roll. Chicken stock. Chicken broth. Look how pretty that looks. You can see the different colors, you can see the cilantro, you can see the different textures of the bean. It looks good to me. We're going to taste this. We're going to check it for both consistency and flavor. You want to have both. Use this guy. It's really good. It's really good. What I like about it is I like the Sriracha heat, but it's not overwhelming. Look at that. Isn't that good? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If I was serving it to someone else, I would have it a little thicker. But I like it a little liquidy because it dips. You can use almost anything. You can use vegetables and it won't like bend or break your vegetable because it's thin enough. So it works really good with both vegetables and the little chips that we made. Let's plate. Let's plate. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice. And we'll put some of our chips down around the bowl. How's that look? How does that look? Yeah. And there you have it. Appetizer is served. Can you hear that crunch? Crunch of the chips. Can you hear that crunch? Mmm. This is good. This is an appetizer made in less than 15 minutes. Tear down. Tear down the set. Tear it down, baby. Tear it down.